tumble back several feet, straight into Lyra, who has just arrived. Left hand touches hard over her right shoulder. Her face is flushed deep red, ice with agony. Stab runs over the shoulder. She returns to me, brow furrowed, asking if I'm hurt. Once she confirms I'm fine, she exhales and guides me away from the scene. Lying on the floor, Blair watches us walk away together. She bites down for her. She refuses to make a sound, but her sob rises in her throat can't be stopped. She closes her eyes in despair. Memory after memory floods in. Every one of them is about me. When her stomach gave out, I never left her side. Called doctor after doctor, checked on her constantly. When she I'd immediately boil an egg and gently roll it over the mark to bring down the swelling. When she couldn't sleep at night, I'd fight off exhaustion to stay up with her. Soft music playing, a warm remedy simmering. Everything that touched her life, I treated it my own. Single thing. Now she's lying here hurt because she saved me, and I walked away without a second glance. In this moment, Blair finally knows for certain the person I am now is not the one she was. She is no longer my world, and I no longer love her. By the time we get home, the tension in me slowly begins to settle. I sink into the couch with a cup of hot tea, replaying what just happened. The chandelier. I'm so spicy. I'm about to say something to Lyra, then I look over. She's crouched beside me with a phone. I'm not hurt. What's the kit for? She doesn't answer. She just points quietly at my ankle. I follow her gaze. There's a small gash on my heel, a piece of glass I hadn't noticed. Lyra picks up a cotton swab. This might sting a little. Normally I'd brush off something small. Her face seriously makes me feel almost embarrassed. It's nothing. You really don't need to worry. Even as the words leave my mouth, the antiseptic hits the cut, and I hiss through my teeth. Once it's clean, she presses the bandage over me. I'll have someone bring waterproof covers. Remember to use one when you shower the next few days. Keep the cut dry, and wear slippers if you're going out. I left home young and grew up with my 4 years of China, 6 years of a relationship. All of the expenses on my own. This is the first time anyone has ever made a fuss over a small cut on my body. I'm still growing. I try to lighten the moment.
You said that, right?
At this rate, it'll probably heal before it's Lyra looks up and holds my gaze. Her expression is serious. You got hurt today partly because of my oversight. That's on me. A cut hurts, no matter how small. You've already had a scare today. I don't want you to be in any discomfort on top of that. That's why I'm being thorough. It doesn't hurt to be careful. Just let me do this. I don't know if it's her sincerity or that big flash of self-promotion, but something tugs at me and won't let go. I don't trust myself to hold the gate. I look down into the small water. After the real use of the kit, not the phone. So, Blair got seriously hurt saving me, and you can't even be bothered to check on her? Listening to that baseless attack, I have no intention of letting her do it. If she hadn't been grabbing at me and refusing to let go, the chandelier never would have come near me. She brought it on herself. How does that become my fault? Regardless of how it happened, she pushed you out of the way when it mattered. You really feel nothing? I almost admire Nadia's ability to twist the truth with a straight face. I have no patience left for this. My eyes land on the bandage on my ankle, and I come up with something on the spot. I'd love to go, but I'm injured too. I can't get around right now. Silence on the other end for about 10 seconds. Then Nadia clears her throat and her tone shifts. Fine, you can't come, but debts are debts. How about this? I heard the project gives out launch dinners in about a month. Send over a few invitations to your secretary, and we'll call it even. So that's what this was. I let out a dry
I have too much aura farmer, that's me. I got too much aura farmer, that's me.
At first I keep telling her to go take care of her own business. Every time she deflects with the same excuse, we just got married. But gradually I notice wherever Lyra is, whatever problem comes up at work, she always has something useful to offer. I get used to her being there. Day by day, closeness builds between us.
How did victims survive being deleted? In Alan Becker's Animator vs. ABA Season 3, we discover that Victim, from the very first ABA, somehow survived being deleted by the movie, and went on to create a multi-billion-dollar company to seek revenge on its creator. But how did he do it? There is one possible explanation. When Alan clicked No on Save Changes to Untitled, the file would have been moved to the recycling bin, where Adobe promptly began deleting everything on the canvas one at a time by turning its hex code white. Victim, his clones, and all of the weapons that he or Alan drew began fading out of existence. Before being deleted, however, Victim grabbed a brush, drew a rocket, and managed to escape the canvas to the outside, but not before his hex code was turned halfway to white. How did Victim survive being deleted?
Aura
In
farmer,
Alan
that's me.
Animation Season 3, we discover that Victim, from the very first ABA, somehow survived being deleted by Adobe.
Aura farmer.
Revenge on his creator. But how did he do it? There is one possible explanation. When Alan clicked No and saved changes to Untitled, the file would have been moved to the recycling bin, where Adobe promptly began deleting everything on the canvas.
You're watching Fish? Is
white. Victim, clones, and all of the weapons that he or Alan drew began fading out of existence. Before being deleted, however, Victim grabbed a brush, drew a rocket, and managed to escape the canvas to the outer end, but not before his hex code was turned halfway to white. Victim survived being deleted. In Alan Beckers Animator vs. Animation Season 3, we discovered that Victim, the very first APA, somehow survived being
That
deleted
was
by
ass.
and went on to create a multi-billion-dollar company to seek revenge on its creator. But how did he do it? There's one possible explanation. Alan clicked no on Save Changes to Untitled. The file would have been moved to the recycling bin, where Adobe promptly began deleting everything on the canvas one at a time by turning its hex code white.
Same.
Victim, his clones,
I was doing the same, bro.
began fading out of existence. Before being deleted, he grabbed a brush, threw a rocket, and managed to sweep the canvas to the outer edge, but not before his hex code was burned halfway to white. How did Victim survive being deleted? In Alan Beckers Animator vs. Animation Season 3, we discovered that Victim, from the very first APA, somehow survived being deleted by Adobe, and went on to create a multi-billion-dollar company to seek revenge on its creator. But how did he do it? There's one possible explanation. Alan clicked no on Save Changes to Untitled.
Talk about being bad at the game, bro.
Where Adobe promptly began deleting canvas one at a time by turning its hex code white. Victim, clones, and all of the weapons that he or Alan threw began fading out of existence. Before being deleted, Victim grabbed a brush, drew a rocket, and managed to escape the canvas to the outer edge, but not before his hex code was turned halfway to white. How did Victim survive being deleted? In Alan Beckers Animator vs.
Dun, 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 dun,
Did you know if you go to
dun,
this website, you can stream?
You like women, women hate you. So you gotta find out in between those two.
All because I say that TNT is the best PvP item. And honestly, everyone is right. I never use TNT in a real game. It's always theory that ends today. Because after over 100 hours of practice, I finally proved everyone wrong.
Talk about bad at the game.
I've been Minecraft pages idiot every day, getting thousands of comments calling me brain dead, all because I say that TNT is the best item. And honestly, everyone is right. I never use TNT in a real game. It's always theory, but that ends today. Because after over 100 hours of practice, I finally proved everyone wrong. For 2 years, I've been Minecraft.
What's driving me crazy?
Oh shit!
It actually gets it right. Watch what Siri does. Being sure that motherboard, Figma, and Airtable, no wait, sure. Actually, I use Asana. It keeps all grocery list, eggs, yogurt, bread.
For 2 years, I've been trying to possible that using TNT pipes would make possible, but everyone thinks I'm crazy. Every video gets thousands of comments calling me brain dead. But today I'm gonna prove everyone wrong. I'm gonna use TNT to win direct 1v1s against really good players. I'm going to completely exploit this item to become Minecraft's most unpredictable wild card.
Yo, how the frick that wasn't a kill, bro?
With the very item they claimed was useless. Okay, we're gonna go boom, boom, and then we're gonna hook on, then we're gonna end up go behind him and then pull it in. Yeah, so I got it on my first try. Look, this could actually work. Wait, what? But then I checked the replay footage. Oh, come on. My opponent somehow ender pearled directly into the TNT, so obviously it doesn't count, but look, I'm sure I'll get it again. Boom, boom. We're gonna go like this? Okay. Go like this, like this, like this, and like this, and like that. Okay. Yeah, this guy. Okay, watch this. Yeah. Okay, this is just embarrassing. After all that hype, all I can do is blow myself up while my opponent watches in confusion. The problem here is that I'm pulling the TNT too early, and I'm positioning myself poorly. But if I somehow solve both of these problems, I could potentially unlock an unseen level of power. And so I kept practicing. But even against new players, I still couldn't do it. My timing and positioning was just completely off. But after a few hours, I started getting some kills. Oh wow. And although they were not impressive at all, I started to think that using TNT might actually be possible. I was getting faster with my setup. That's a great... Wait, did I kill him with that? And then I really started getting better. That was insane. That was insane.
This little...
No.
Oh!
This is
Oh!
not gonna work. You see, as a YouTuber, it is tempting to just end the video here and make it seem like I mastered TNT. But the reality is that for every successful clip that you saw, there were at least 5 where I just couldn't do it. Not only that, but every player that I did kill was average at best. And I didn't say that I was gonna win against average players. I set out to beat some of Minecraft's best players, and it just so happened that when I logged on today, I met...
Oh!
This is
Oh!
a YouTuber who's beaten some of my
This little...
hardest challenges and makes me look like a wet baby. What am I supposed to do? Okay, let's not make that. First, we're just gonna set up the TNT and... Okay, finally. Now that I've barely managed to get things done, I just need to pull it in. Well, don't worry, it gets a lot worse. Goose wanted to introduce shields and many other items so the fights would match real PvP, and, well... That's when I realized that every kill I got earlier wouldn't have happened if my opponents had shields, and so they don't count. But I'm gonna fix all of these issues, and then I'm fighting Goose again to prove that TNT can bring me to the highest level of PvP.
Выяснил вас. В этом видео я хочу вам показать визуальный про печать и не просто о них, а смотреть, какая программа вообще делает лучше. Потому что
Okay, so now that shields and other PvP items are in play, let's see how hard it's gonna be to win.
Dude,
After introducing the shield, I couldn't get a single kill. I mean, look, if over 100,000 people all think this won't work, maybe they're right. Maybe it's time I finally admit I'm... My opponent was blocking with a shield, but the TNT still killed them. Now at first I thought maybe it was some kind of bug, but upon checking the replay... Okay, now what exactly... Wait, hold on. This right here is how I'm going to become unstoppable with TNT, and this is how I'm going to win against Goose. Now hopefully with just a few more days of practice, I'll be able to do this consistently. Alright, I've now practiced for over 100 hours, but in all that time, something changed. You see, before, I would desperately search for openings to use my TNT, but now, I don't look for openings anymore. I make them. Through brute force repetition, I developed a sharp intuition for when and where to ender pearl, and I started using my sword to make it difficult to focus on the TNT. In other words, in the approximately 4 minutes and 11 seconds before my TNT runs out, I am effectively immortal.
Let me see a big thing. Let me see a thing. Let me see a thing.
Okay, so clearly I've shown TNT wins 1v1s, and yet I still cannot say that I've proved everyone wrong. It's one thing to win against random players, but it's another to win against someone like Goose. Goose is leagues above anyone I've beaten so far, and he has tons of counters for my strategy. Now, I knew this fight would be difficult, but I was not expecting...
Oh, I know you had to reload. Oh, I missed it.
And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse... Wait, what?
Well, that went fine.
And so now left with almost no counterplay, I was forced to go on the defensive.
Got him. Oh, you clutched that?
I did clutch that. Oh.
I'm gonna see if I can elevator this one.
As I followed Goose, I came up with a plan to end the fight quickly.
You have no idea how terrifying it is to wind charge up and just see the TNT lit. You have no idea how long it's been there. Okay, I need to get off this.
Oh. And this building is the perfect spot to execute my plan. Now I just need to look for an opening. If I place my TNT slightly higher, it will bait Goose into knocking it off. Now with it on the ground, he won't pay attention to it. get to you. But if I enter Pearl much further than usual, it will slide just enough to reach him. And so now, with him completely ignoring the TNT and with me in the perfect position, I just need to pull it in. The fight is finally over.
Oh, that's that. That's actually that's a good flashback shot. Oh, that's that. That's actually that's a good flashback shot.
That was sick. That was pretty sick. So have I finally proved everyone wrong? I'll let the comments decide, because the truth is, Moose and I are the wild card. So if you want to see that happen, consider subscribing.
I like making my podcast. I don't like making short clips of my podcast.
When I woke up, I got dropped into a jungle, snatched up by a beast-eared Amazon, and delivered to a tribe of primitive warrior women who haven't discovered fire yet. The chieftain takes one look at me and decides I'm breeding stock. My only advantage? I passed middle school. The sharp pain of my butt hitting dirt snaps me awake. No asphalt roads, no buildings, no sound of cars or people. Just massive green ferns the size of umbrellas and thick humid air that smells like wet soil and rotting leaves. Before I can even figure out where I am, the ground starts shaking. A shadow falls over me. Standing there is a girl over 6 feet tall, wearing nothing but tunics of rough animal skin. Her exposed arms and thighs are lined with tight skin muscle. On top of her head sit a pair of snow-white hair. Behind her, a long tail swishes back and forth. She tilts her head and looks me up and down. There is no politeness in those eyes. Only the cold focus of the pressure, checking if something is wrong. She mutters something about me having no fur, no claws, and skin too white. Then, without warning, she grabs me by the jeans and lifts me into the air with one hand, like I know nothing. I try to explain that I'm human. She tells me to shut up, or she'll cut my tongue out. She throws me over her shoulder like a sack of rice and starts running. Her name is Avery. She runs fast, steps out several meters. My stomach slams against her hard shoulder blade with every stride. Along the way, a black beetle the size of a wash basin darts out of the grass. Without slowing down, she snaps her leg out and kicks it. The beetle explodes into mush. She tells me that if I try to run, I'll end up just like that bug, She carries me into a camp surrounded by natural caves line the edges, one fire pit. Every single person around this field, all of them have disappeared. Some are processing animals, others are grooming each other's fur. She is happy that just like that bug. She carries me into a camp surrounded by stone walls. Natural caves line the edges, and a bonfire pit sits in the middle. Every single person walking around is female. All of them have beast ears and tails and wear simple animal skins. Some are processing animal carcasses. Others are grooming each other's fur. A root drops me on the ground in the middle of the open area, and within seconds, a dozen pairs of bare feet surround me. They pinch my arms. They pry open my mouth and inspect my teeth. One of them says my teeth are completely flat. I don't even have fangs for tearing prey. They can't figure out how I survived this long. Then the crowd parts. Aru's mother, the chieftain, walks through. She is half a head taller than anyone here. She looks at my face, checks my limbs, and then her eyes settle in the area below my waist for a full 5 seconds. Her verdict is simple. He's weak and useless, but he's easy on the eyes. She tells Aru to clean me up and get the breeding done tonight. Aru carries me to her cave and tries to feed me a chunk of raw meat still dripping with blood. My stomach flipped, and I'm like that night, wrapped there freezing, I'd beneath me. Break piece fast as I can. 1 minute, 2 minutes. My palms heat up, then sting, then blister. The wood gets warm, but nothing catches. The ember glows for 1 second and dies. I fail. Aru wakes up behind me. She sees the thin smoke and panics. In her world, fire is the thing that falls from the sky during storms and burns entire forests to ash. She backs herself against the wall. It's like, again, still. I reach out and gently scratch the base of her furry ears. Her whole body goes still. A low purr. The next morning, I have to drill pit, bedding, and shape this the wood dust. Which monster whirlwinds the children were still slight. Before I can even raise my hand to wave, she grabs me and crushes my face directly into. I cannot breathe. She's trying to protect me from the flames, finally stop. It hasn't moved. It hasn't spread. Her ears flat against her head, and her tail tucked between her legs. She doubled for just one daughter. For the sake of the tribe producing more clever cubs, she has decided she is going to have one with me too. I nearly dropped the stick I'm holding, but Aru, instead of getting jealous, lights up like it's the best news she's ever heard. She grabs her mother's arm and says that the babies will definitely know how to roast meat. The two of them smile at each other like they just closed a business deal. I am the business. I spend the rest of the evening as the tribe's personal barbecue chef. I sit cross-legged in front of the fire, flipping skewer after skewer, while dozens of beautiful girls crowd around me drooling. Aru parks herself right next to me, shoulder pressed against mine, refusing to move. She tears off the best pieces of meat and feeds them straight into my mouth. When the wind shifts and blasts the smoke into my face, I end up looking like a chimney sweep. Aru laughs so hard, her whole body shakes, and her tail thumps the ground. Then she leans in and sticks out her tongue, trying to lick the soot off my cheek. I scramble backwards so fast, I almost fall into the fire. But roasted meat only solves one problem. These girls still hunt by charging face first into wild animals, biting and clawing until something dies. Every hunt means injuries. Infections in this world with no medicine means death. I need to give them something better. So the next day, while Aru is out, I find 2 straight hardwood poles, scrape them smooth with a stone flake, sharpen the tips into points, and hold them over the fire to harden the wood until it turns black and glossy. 2 crude,
rude, ugly spears, the oldest weapon in human history. Aru comes back and sees me standing there, holding 2 long sticks. She thinks they are firewood. I tell her they are weapons. She doesn't understand. I point at a rotting tree stump a few meters away and tell her to try swiping at it with her claws from where she's standing. She swings. Her arm falls short by 2 full meters. Then, I put the spear in her hands and tell her to thrust. She tightens her grip, twists her hips, and drives the black tip straight into the stump. Wood chips fly everywhere. The spear sinks deep. Aru freezes, staring at the hole she just punched from the distance her claws could never reach. Can see the exact moment the idea clicks in her head. She can hit it, but it cannot hit her back. I set up a demonstration. Aru with a spear against Big Flower, the tribe's 2nd strongest warrior in a friendly spar. Big Flower is all confidence and raw power. She cracks her neck, flexes her claws, and charges. Aru doesn't charge back. She takes half a step forward and jabs the spear into Big Flower's belly. Big Flower grunts and stops. She reaches for the stick. Aru pulls it back and pokes her shoulder. Big Flower lunges left. The spear blocks left. She dives right. The spear meets her there too. After 10 rounds of chasing and getting jabbed without landing a single hit, Big Flower flops onto the ground, out of breath, waving her hand in defeat. The chieftain, who's been watching from behind the crowd the entire time, steps forward. She takes the spear, presses her thumb against the hardened tip, and her eyes light up. She can see what it's doing. If every warrior has one, casualties drop to almost nothing. She raises the spear high and announces that I am to arm every fighter in the tribe. Big Flower, still sitting in the dirt, rubbing her sore stomach, looks up at me with an expression I haven't seen before. Respect. I send the entire tribe into the forest to gather wood for spears. The result is a disaster. The first girl comes back dragging a log as thick as her thigh, grinning like she just won a prize. I step on it, and the whole thing crumbles into black dust and termites. Another girl runs up, holding a giant green leaf stalk, proud that it's long and straight. I press my finger into it, and juice squirts out. One girl brings back a thorn bush. Someone else uproots an entire shrub with the roots still attached. These women have the strength of gorillas and the material knowledge of kindergartners. I lead them to a grove of gray bark trees deeper in the forest. The wood is dense, straight, and tough. Aru demonstrates the harvesting method. She takes a half step back, winds up her leg, and kicks the trunk so hard the bark explodes off the side. Then she grabs the tree with both hands and rips it down like she's pulling a weed. This isn't logging, this is destruction. But it works. Within an hour, dozens of perfect poles are stacked on the ground. That night, I run a full assembly line by firelight. The girls strip bark with their claws. I sharpen the tips with stone flakes, and then hold each one over the bonfire, slowly rotating it until the white wood turns charred black and hard as bone. One girl gets impatient and tries to help sharpen. She grips too hard and snaps her pole clean in half. Her spotted ears droop, and she looks at me like a puppy that chewed up a shoe. I hold her wrist and guide the angle of the stone flake along the grain. She turns bright red. Aru immediately shoves herself between us and demands that I teach her instead, even though her spear is already sharper than anyone else's. By the time I finish the last one, dozens of black-tipped spears are lined up on the ground in neat rows. The beast-eared girls swarm forward and grab them. They swing them at the air, letting out excited battle cries. The tribe that was scratching and biting yesterday now looks like an actual army. The next morning, we march into the Black Forest. I insist on going despite Aru nearly tying me to a rock to stop me. The chieftain shuts her down with one sentence. If you cannot protect a single male, how can you say you deserve his cubs? Aru grabs me, straps me to her side, and tells every warrior in the group that if I lose a single hair,
Yo, bro.
she will make their lives miserable.
Yeah.
Deep inside the forest,
Yeah.
we find tracks. Around
1v1.
deep enough to
Yeah.
swallow half a branch. A broken tree
Yeah, one.
snapped clean. A steaming pile of dung the size of a small boulder. The chieftain's face goes serious. She says it's an iron-skinned beast, a creature covered in natural armor so thick that claws slide right off. The tribe fought one, people died. Everyone wants to turn around. I say no. The beast just ate. It's sluggish and slow. This is
What were you
exactly
saying,
the kind of
dude?
target our new weapons were built for. I draw a battle plan
stuck on
with a
my
dirt
screen. I
stick.
can't move it.
3 groups,
No, actually.
flanking positions. Use the
Okay.
giant trees as cover. Then I volunteer as bait. I find the beast napping in a small clearing. It looks like a rhinoceros
Oh,
magnified
sheesh.
Yo,
3
what's your
times,
username?
covered head to
I
tail in
want
gray
to
armor plate.
1v1 you,
Steam
but I
puffs
can't.
from its nostrils
So
with every
I'm gonna
breath.
add you.
I pick up a
What's your username?
fist-sized rock, aim at its big wet nose, and throw. The stone
Son
cracks
W
right from
Fox,
the
bro.
snout. The beast's tiny eyes snap open and turn blood red.
So
It stands
Snow
up with a
Fox?
rumble that shakes the ground
Yep.
and locks its gaze on me. Then it charges.
Me just send you an
Trembles under
invite.
its hooves. 20 meters, 10 meters, 5. A roo is screaming behind the bushes, fighting every instinct to rush out. I wait until the last possible second and dive sideways. The beast cannot stop. It slams headfirst into a massive tree with a crash that sends leaves raining down. The impact dazes it, and its legs wobble. I shout for the attack. The girls rush in and stab at its flanks, but the spear tips bounce off the thick hide with a dull clang. The armor is too strong for close-range thrusts. I change the order. Throw them. A roo plants her feet, pulls her arm back, and launches a spear with her full body weight behind it. The black tip punches through the soft flesh at the joint of the beast's front leg. Blood sprays. The beast screams. Its front knee buckles. Now the tribe understands. They stop trying to stab and start throwing from a safe distance. Spears rain down from every direction. Some bounce off the armor. Some miss entirely. But enough find the soft spots. Under the neck, behind the ears, between the joints. Within minutes, the beast looks like a giant gray ocean, staggering and bleeding from a dozen wounds. It makes one last desperate charge toward 2 little beast-eared cubs who wander too close. They freeze in terror, legs locked, tears rolling. A roo and Big Flower are too far away to reach them, but the chieftain is not. She steps out of the tree line, cocks her arm, and throws a single spear with the force of a cannon. The black tip pierces clean through the back of the beast's knee. Its leg crumbles. The massive body slides across the ground and stops less than half a meter from the children's toes. We finish it off together, stabbing from 2 meters away, just like I taught them. When it's over, every girl checks herself and the person next to her. Not a scratch, not a bruise, not a single drop of their own blood spilled. I ride the beast's broad, flat back as the tribe drags it home, pulled by dozens of cheering warriors. The elders and children waiting at the village gate see the massive corpse blocking half the entrance and go completely silent.
God.
Then the chieftain raises her fist and roars.
What's up with your movement,
Everyone's
bro?
their fill. The iron-skinned beast is enormous. The tribe eats until their bellies are round and tight.
Yeah, yo, when you snipe, try move. Try move, bro. Alright, that's all I had to say.
Falls asleep around the bonfire in a happy pile.
Game resume.
But I wake up early the next morning and look at the leftovers. A dense black cloud of flies has already gathered on the meat pile. The edges of the cuts near the ground have turned a grayish white. That is the color of rot. In this heat and humidity, the whole pile will be stinking by noon. I shake a roo awake and point at the flies. She frowns and says, "We can just shoo them away." I tell her it doesn't work like that. Once the meat goes bad, no amount of shooing will bring it back. She doesn't fully understand. In her world, meat sits out for 2 days and they still eat it, maggots and all. But I am not built for that. And more importantly, nobody should have to be. I gather the tribe and explain the plan. We are going to use smoke to dry the meat. I show them the thin blue wisp still rising from last night's coals and tell them that smoke pulls the water out of the meat. Once the water is gone, bugs cannot survive in it, and the meat lasts for a long time. The beast-eared girls stare at me with blank faces. None of this makes sense to them. But when the chieftain hears the words "stored for a long time," her eyes snap wide open. She slaps her thigh and tells everyone to do whatever I say. We get to work. I have one group slice all the remaining meat into palm-thick strips, cutting away the parts that already changed color. Another group goes into the forest to gather damp leafy branches. Dry wood burns fast and hot, but wet wood smolders slowly and makes thick smoke, which is exactly what we need. A roo and Big Flower each leave a team and come back dragging heaps of green branches behind them. I pick a slightly elevated spot and build the first smoking rack. Large stones form a circle about 2 meters wide. Thick, sturdy poles lay across the top to create a grid. I spread the meat strips out evenly with gaps between each one so the smoke can wrap around every piece. Then I start a small fire in the center and smother it with the damp branches. Thick white smoke billows up instantly, carrying the sharp green smell of wet leaves. The meat disappears inside the cloud. I tell the girls tending the fire to keep it exactly at this level. Not too big or the meat cooks. Not too small or there isn't enough smoke. They nod and take their positions. Soon 6 smoking racks are running at the same time, lined up across the open clearing. A low fog of smoke hangs over the entire tribe. The smell of meat and wood mixes in the air into something warm and rich. While the smoking racks run, I also supervise the skinning of the iron-skinned beast. Its armored hide is incredibly tough and tightly attached to the flesh pit. The girls have to carve it off carefully, bit by bit. It takes hours. Their hands are slicked with blood and grease, and sweat runs down their necks and chests as they work crouched on the ground. But when the full hide finally peels away in one massive piece, still thick and hard as stone, everyone understands its value. If we shape this into wearable armor, even a boar's tusks won't be able to punch through it. By evening, the first batch of smoked meat is ready. The strips have shrunk and darkened to a deep red, dry and firm to the touch. I have the girls string them together with vines and hang them from branches along a well-ventilated rock wall, row after row of dark jerky lines up across the stone. From a distance it looks like a red wall of meat, the tribe's first ever food reserve. The chieftain stands in front of that wall for a long time without speaking. Then she says quietly that every winter elders and children die because there is nothing to eat. With this, that can change. When Big Flower suggests taking a rest day tomorrow since they have so much food, the chieftain slams a bone in the ground and shuts it down immediately. This meat is for emergencies, for rain, for blizzards, for the weeks when hunting fails. Anyone who eats the reserves out of laziness will answer to her personally. I also notice something strange about the iron-skinned beast meat. After eating it, a real warmth spreads through my body. Not just the comfort of a full stomach, but actual heat moving through my arms and legs down to my fingertips. My muscles feel tighter. My grip feels stronger. This meat does something to whoever eats it. It makes them physically better. With the tribe fed and the reserves growing, I turn to the next project. The children. I find a group of little beast-eared cubs hiding behind rocks, watching me practice throwing spears at a dead tree. My aim is average at best, and a few of the braver kids giggle at me. One of them points at the unscathed tree trunk and tells me I couldn't kill a wild beast if it was standing still. Fair point. But when I hand them fist-sized stones and tell them to try hitting the tree, their raw power shocks me. A 7-year-old with rabbit ears throws a rock so hard it cracks the bark on impact. Their aim is terrible, but their strength is absurd. I line them up and start correcting their form. Feet apart, one forward, one back. Use your hips, not just your arm. Eyes on the target, not the ground. Within an hour, that dead tree is getting hammered from every direction, bark flying off in chunks. Aru watches from a nearby rock in the golden sunset light, chin resting on her hands, tail swaying lazily behind her. She tells me that before I came, these children would be crying from hunger right now. Today they are laughing and throwing stones. She says she is happy. I sit down next to her and tell her this is just the beginning. The chieftain orders us deeper into the forest. The nearby hunting grounds have gone quiet since we killed the iron-skinned beasts. The smaller animals fled the area and haven't come back. If we want fresh meat, we need to push further than the tribe has ever gone before. Aru does not want me to come. She argues with her mother in front of the whole group, ears flat, tail stiff. The chieftain shuts her down. He needs to see the real forest. He needs to understand what lives out there so he can invent better ways to fight it. Aru clenches her jaw but doesn't argue further. The night before the expedition, Aru stays up late in the cave. She takes 3 layers of thick animal hide and stacks them together, stuffing dry grass between the layers for padding. She punches holes along the edges and threads sturdy vines through to hold everything tight. By the time she finishes, she has made me a crude vest of armor. She pulls it over my head and ties every knot herself, tugging each one hard to make sure nothing will come loose. Then she holds my face between her rough, warm palms and stares into my eyes. She tells me that if I get hurt, she will be sad. I tell her not to worry. I still need to stay alive to roast meat for her. Her ears twitch once, and she pulls me in close. The deep forest is a completely different world. The canopy is so thick that sunlight barely reaches the ground. The air smells damp and old, like wet stone and mushrooms. Every surface is covered in moss, and the ground is soft with layers of rotting leaves. The beast-eared girls come alive in here. Their ears rotate and twitch at every tiny sound. Their noses fill the air constantly, picking up scents I cannot even begin to detect. Big Flower crouches beside a patch of flattened grass and announces that a herd of long-haired deer passed through recently. She points to a scratch mark on the branch overhead and says the height and the color of the fur stuck to the bark confirm it. I stare at the same branch and see absolutely nothing. This is when I understand the gap clearly. I cannot smell what they smell. I cannot hear what they hear. I cannot read a broken leaf and know what animal stepped on it. But that is the whole point of working together. They are the eyes, ears, and nose. I am the brain. Apart, we are incomplete. Together, we are the most dangerous thing in this forest. We track the herd for about half an hour until the trees thin out and a wide grassy slope opens up ahead. A root drops low behind a giant rock and pulls me down with her. Through a gap in the stones, I count more than 20 long-haired deer grazing peacefully on the hillside. They are big animals, covered in thick, grayish-brown fur, with branching antlers on their heads.